unfaithful wife that I still have trust issues with will probably contact her AP soon despite agreeing to no contact and the consequence of divorce. I am approaching the 1-year anniversary of my D-Day. Here is my story. We are both in our mid-40s. We'd have been together for more than 30 years, since high school. We have 2 teenage children. My wife, her choice, has been a psalm for most of the last 15 years, whilst I have worked hard in a stressful but well-paid job to provide for our family. A few years ago, my wife and I went through the traumatic experience of the death of one of our children. My wife struggled more than myself. I tried to remain strong for her and our other children. She had bereavement counseling, but that did not help her. Her mental state due to our loss was all over the place and things got progressively worse with our marriage. Around 2 years ago, we had a massive drunken argument. I said lots of nasty things, called her names, no physical abuse. I was stupid and immature. I did not apologize for my outburst, and this resulted in a dead bedroom and a lack of good communication. I turned to alcohol and I became depressed about the whole situation. This time last year, I was considering divorce. I wanted things to get better between us, but I knew we both had to change for that to happen. As a last throw of the dice, I suggested marriage counseling. She declined, but I had IC. This helped me. I gave up drinking. I also lost weight and got into my best ever physical shape with lots of exercise. My mental health and attitude towards my wife improved. We were both happier. We had just started becoming intimate again, and it looked like our marriage could survive. So things were looking up again until by sheer chance I discovered her affair. In retrospect, there were lots of red flags, but I always trusted her and assumed she would never cheat on me. I did some snooping and confronted her with only a small amount of what I knew. Initially, the affair was denied and I got trickle truth. For example, she told me she had only kissed her AP a few times, but her story had lots of holes in it. I caught her totally off guard with the confrontation and my questions. The next day, I was all set to show her my proof that they had gone beyond kissing each other when she admitted to having unprotected sex on more than one occasion with the AP, but it was over now as he had finished it. The physical affair had started not longer after our big drunken argument the year before. She came out with the classic line, "I still love you but was no longer in love with you." She recently told me that because of the arguments that she thought I no longer loved her when her affair started. This was not true. I did still love her, despite our problems, as she would have found out if we were communicating and had asked me. Following her confession, I took my wife's phone off her. She gave me the passcode and passwords to email and social media apps. I read all their available messages. There were gaps in chats probably removed just before her confession of the physical affair. But by now I had pretty much the full story. The day after, I messaged the AP from my wife's phone to get his side of the story and to threaten him should he carry on seeing my wife. His story matched my wife's version. He had finished the physical affair due to the damage it would cause to both families, and he wanted a life with his BS, and not my WS. He told me what an amazing person my wife was. She had fallen for him, and that's when he ended it because it was getting too serious for him. He apologized to me and said that he would tell his wife what he had done. I told him that was up to him, as I didn't want someone else to suffer the pain I had suffered. I told him that if he ever saw my wife again, then I would tell his wife. I did not tell him to break off contact because my plan was to install keylogger software on my wife's phone. Bear in mind that we were in the middle of lockdown at this point in time, so there was no way that they could see each other. For the next few weeks, they would message each other. My wife told her AP that I knew about them. The AP did not tell her that I had messaged him. It was amusing to watch this unfold. They were now having arguments and blaming each other for their affair. My wife, in an attempt to save our marriage or stop me kicking her out of our house, was love-bombing me and at the same time giving her AP for using her and treating her badly. However, she also said she wished that they could see each other and chat properly about what had happened. She did appear to show remorse for how much her actions had hurt me. She admitted to me that she had been selfish. I asked her if she had ever cheated on me before. She answered that with a subtle difference to the question, that it was her one and only affair. I am now suspicious she had a one-night stand with a former boyfriend many years ago, but I have no proof. She said she had fallen back in love with me because I had changed for the better. But as we all know, actions speak louder than words, and you cannot believe a word that a cheater says. Even at this point, she was still sending messages to him, although they were innocent messages as they were discussing their hobby, which is where they first met and got to know each other as friends. I phoned a lawyer to discuss my options and see how things would look should we divorce. My wife overheard some of the conversation, and this seemed to wake her up to the reality of the situation. Soon after, my wife sent a final message to the AP telling him that she would not be chatting any longer and he was not to get in touch with her ever again. Contact between them did stop, and at this point I gave her some boundaries and the consequences should she break them. One of the rules was no contact or see the AP ever again, and if he contacted her to let me know immediately. I told her if she broke that rule I would divorce her. She agreed to this. I told her she needed counseling to work on herself and find the reasons why she did what she did. She agreed, although said she felt forced to go, but only went twice and then stopped, telling me she already knows the reasons for her affair so did not need any more counseling. I saw the same counselor a dozen times, and despite client confidentiality, my counselor did tell me my wife was remorseful. This was a few months ago. My wife and I have been getting on better than ever. I do love her, but I have not forgiven her yet. There has been no contact between my wife and her AP, but I have reason to believe that may change shortly. Finally, given all that information, the questions I have are: does anyone think my wife has any chance of redeeming herself and remaining faithful to me, or should I run a mile should she contact the AP again? As I suspect she will, even though it will be to chat about something innocent. Should I file for divorce? As she will have broken the no-contact rule of divorce is not the answer. Is there anything else she or I should do for a successful reconciliation? Edit. Update. I am so grateful for all your replies. This has really helped me. I will try and respond to each one and answer questions. Story 2. My 24F. Wife 26F of almost 2 years has ADHD, and I'm struggling with her memory problems. I feel like the world's biggest idiot, but I'm struggling with dealing with my wife's ADHD symptoms, namely, her memory. She forgets things really easily, especially things she needs to do or deadlines. For example, I'll ask if she could empty the dishwasher after I've cooked so I could clean up, and she'll say yeah. And then we're getting ready for bed, and I'll ask and she forgot. This means I have to constantly remind her to do things I've asked her to do, and try to watch what she's doing to catch her right before she starts doing something new to remind her to do the thing she needs to do. This means I manage all the chores, make sure all the bills get paid, plan the meals, do the shopping, and if I want any help with it, I have to ask over and over again and hope it sticks long enough for her to do it. She goes to work, comes home, and plays video games until bedtime. I feel so wrong for being upset about this, because I know we both have depression. She can't help that she forgets so easily, and she can't help that most days all she wants to do is play games. But I feel so alone in managing the entire household, and sometimes I feel like I'm babysitting her to make sure she does basic tasks like change the sheets once in a while. I wanted a partner, but sometimes it feels like I have a child. I try not to let her know how much this bothers me because it's not her fault, but the frustration can just bubble over. Does anyone have any advice for how I can address my feelings to stop being upset about this